Hey y'all, what's up? It's Caitlin and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we are going to sit down and do a Valentine's get ready with me. By the time you're going to be seeing this, it's already going to be Valentine's Day, but this is going to be the look I'm going to be wearing on the holiday. Me and my husband are going to be doing a very anti-Valentine's Day. We're going to go bowling, eat some hamburgers, see what's up, get very competitive. I figured I would just sit down and show you the look that I created, and while we were doing that, I thought I would give you a little backstory. So my husband's never really been on my channel. His voice has been in the background. You've seen him for here a quick minute, but he's never specifically been on my channel. So y'all don't know who he is, so I thought I would give you a little insight. We're going to try to cover everything: how we met, how we dated, our family, our engagement, our wedding, and our lives now. Whether you find this interesting or not, I really hope you enjoy it. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. And when you subscribe, hit the post notification bell so you can be notified whenever I upload a brand new video. So I hope you enjoy your Valentine's Day. And without further ado, let's get started. So to prime our eyelids, I'm going to be using my Makeup Revolution Cut Crease Canvas Full Coverage Eyeshadow Base. This has been my go-to eyeshadow base. I finally moved on from my NYX one after trying this out, and I'm so happy I did that video, because after trying this out again, like when I did my full face of misses to see if I still liked anything or if it was still a miss, I have been loving this eyeshadow base. And then to blend this out, I have been loving this brush by AOA Studio. This is their high definition brush, the E101. And it's just a big flat top brush, but it just really blends it out so effortlessly. Okay, so let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So for today's eye look, I kind of have a vision of what I want to do. A lot of like bright pinks, a lot of shimmer. So to do that, I'm going to be working between two different palettes. So the first one I'm going to be dipping into is going to be the Morphe James Charles palette, and this is the mini version. So the reason I'm going to be dipping into this is mainly for the just bright pigmented matte shades. Like when I think of where can I get really pigmented rainbow colors, it's this baby. So then I'm also going to be using the Makeup Revolution. This is the Precious Stone Ruby palette. I used this in like a Thanksgiving makeup tutorial, and that makeup look kind of came out like a little Valentine's Day looking. But I'm going to be using this for some shimmers. In tutorials, I usually don't like to jump between two palettes, but let's be realistic. A lot of us do that in the real world. So I just figured, let's be real. You know, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. So I'm going to open up my James Charles palette, and then I'm also going to be using the mirror in here to look close up. So the first shade I'm going to be going into is going to be the shade Skip, which is the hot pink in the palette. So let's go ahead and dip into that, and I'm just using a Morphe M513. This is from the Artistry brush set. All right, and then I am just going to be stamping this into the crease. So as I'm sure you saw by my title, I wanted to do a little chit chat get ready with me. I know I have been very absent on my channel, and it's not without reason. 2020, I had like a lot of goals and a lot of things I wanted to do for my channel, but unfortunately life had another plan, as it tends to do. 2019 just ended badly, and I was like, come on 2020, be a better year, and it just hasn't happened yet. You know, my dog that I've had for 10 years going, she got really sick, and this was the first time she got sick, so I'm thinking the worst, of course. And then I made the mistake of talking to like one of those 24/7 online vet things, and of course they're saying, oh, it could be a disease, that she needs surgery, and if you can't afford the surgery, you know, sadly, what's the alternative? So I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to put my dog down. This is going to break my heart. We went to the doctor, and the only thing that was wrong with her is she has cataracts, which we already knew. I mean, she's 10 years old, and then she has nuclear sclerosis in her knees. And then the day we brought her home, she acted fine. What a little bitch. But you know, I'm grateful. I'm grateful she's back to normal. She's my happy-go-lucky little Brinkley, and she's my dog. She's my baby. I love her. So that happened, and then 2 weeks ago, yeah, 2 weeks ago, my grandfather suffered a major stroke. So he lives in Dallas with my aunt. He's been up there for almost a year. He used to live down here with us. And then when my dad passed away, my dad was living with him because my parents were separated. When my dad passed away, my aunt just decided to move him up there. And it's been an adjustment, but you know, we try to go up there once a month. But because life got so crazy, we weren't able to go up as often. So we got the call last Wednesday that he had been found non-responsive on the bathroom floor, and he suffered a major stroke. So me and my mother immediately threw crap into a bag and we rushed up to Dallas. And so basically he's been in the hospital for going on 3 weeks now. It has affected his, it was on the left side of his brain, so it's affected his right side. He can't see on his right side. He doesn't really talk. He speaks a lot of gibberish. And we're just learning to be there for him and make him stronger. He's such a strong man. Don't want to make this video depressing. Just pray for my family, pray for my grandfather. We are all just working together to do the best we can for the situation. So let's talk about something a little more happier. So what I wanted to do in this chit chat get ready with me is I wanted to give you a little backstory since it is almost Valentine's Day. Well, by the time this video goes up, it's going to be Valentine's Day. Since it is Valentine's Day, I wanted to give you a little backstory on how I met my husband. So my husband hasn't really formally been on my channel. You've seen little clips of him, you've heard him in the background, but he's never actually been on my channel. But I wanted to go ahead in the spirit of Valentine's Day and just talk about my marriage, talk about my lovely husband, and talk about how much we're so in love. Lord Jesus, I'm humiliated. Before we do that though, I am going to be blending out this outer edge using this light pink in the palette. This is the shade Pinkity Drink Me. Okay, so me and my husband have been together in May. It will be 7 years, and then we will be married in June for 4. So let's talk about how me and my husband met. So I was working at Kroger, which if you don't have Kroger's, if you have like Fred Meyer, I can't remember what other grocery stores are like brother stores to it, but we were working at the same grocery store, Kroger, together. And we had a mutual friend, my friend Jordan, who actually helped me get the job because I had just been laid off from a retail job. Needed a job, needed to make money, so she was able to hook me up and get me in fast. And I was working the gas station, which I know it sounds lame, but the gas station was actually the best time of my life. I actually really liked it. It was very secluded, but I really liked working in the gas station. I had no problem with it. I quickly got promoted to fuel lead, which is basically the manager of the gas station. And one of my duties was to do replenishment. And that was basically just getting the food and the drinks and stocking out at the gas station. So I remember clear as day, I had done my replenishment. No, I was doing my replenishment. And my husband was a supervisor, a floor supervisor inside. He was a floor supervisor. My friend Jordan was a cashier. And I remember the first time I saw him, he was working on the floor and I walked by with my replenishment and he was like, "Hi." And I'm just like, "Hey." And then I walked past and then I look back and he's looking at me and I'm like, "Okay, sure." So after my replenishment, I went out there, back out to the gas station, and Jordan texted me and she's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I just got back out to the gas station." She said, "Well, I'm bored. Come inside. It's slow. Come talk to me at my register." I'm like, "Okay, sure." So I let my employee run the station, and I went inside, and me and Jordan are just talking. Well, and then I see Joel, my husband, walk past, and I'm thinking, okay, we're in trouble. So I was like, oh, you know, he's watching. Let me go out. So I texted her as I'm walking out, and I'm like, "Hey, by the way, who is that guy working the floor?" And she's like, "Who, Joel?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Oh, well, I mean, that's Joel. I don't know what else to say. He's the floor supervisor today." And I was like, "Oh, he's kind of cute." So she texts back, she's like, "Oh, you think he's cute?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's pretty cute." And she's like, "Oh, well, good, because I gave him your number." I was floored. Not floored. I was like dead. And I wasn't mad or anything. I was just like, oh my God, because I had never spoken to him. That word "hi" was the first thing I had ever said to him. So I texted her back and I'm like, "Jordan, this guy's gonna think I'm a creep. He's gonna think I'm weird. We've never even met, like formally, we've never met." So I was creeped out. I was like, okay, great. Well, there goes my chances there. Nothing is gonna come from that. So days went by and I still hadn't heard from him. So I'm thinking, okay, great. I was right. He does think I'm weird. So days went by and then a week went by. And at the time I was living with Jordan and my ex-best friend, which I won't name because, you know, we're not friends anymore. But we were all living together in an apartment. And I was just mad. Every time I saw her, I was mad because I was like, Jordan, like, he won't talk to me. And then I remember sitting in the gas station and I got a text message from a random number. And all it said was, "Hi, Caitlin, this is Joel. I would like to take you on a date." Which was probably the cutest thing that had ever happened to me. So I think we had planned to go out like a couple days after he had texted me. And what's so funny is, like, I can remember what I wore. I remember getting ready. I remember being so nervous. And the reason I was mostly nervous is because I had just gotten out of a really long relationship that was really on and off. We finally caught it quits. I was still finding myself. And I had never been on like a formal first date. You know, growing up as a teenager, it's like, oh, let's go hang out at the movies. But it's not like called a date. You know what I'm saying? So I was going on like my first actual formal date, which was weird. So I can remember exactly what I wore. I can remember I had red hair, I believe at the time, or brown hair. No, I had blonde hair with red streaks. But what's so funny is, like, I can remember I wore it in a side braid. I wore this like teal cheetah print tank top with some jeans and flip-flops. That's exactly what I wore. So for our first date, we went to California Pizza Kitchen. And if you're from Houston, we went to the California Pizza Kitchen in Memorial City Mall. And what was so funny, and I don't know if he remembers this, but I remember it, is going up to the door, I tried to open the door first, like to let him in. And he was like, "I got it." So it was awkward because I'm like, I've never had a guy want to get it, you know? I've never had a guy like be respectful like that. Like, know that, oh, I'm a lady, you need to be respectful and have manners. So we went to California Pizza Kitchen. Well, no, that was what we had for dinner. But before that, or was it after? No, it was before. Before we went to, if you're from Spring Branch in Houston, we went to Speedy's. So Spring Branch is basically a huge arcade. It has go-karts. And I remember I think we played a game of pool. And then they had this huge Connect 4 game. So we played that a few times. So we went there first, and then we went to California Pizza Kitchen. And at California Pizza Kitchen, I mean, we did the standard thing. We talked about each other. We, you know, our qualities, what we were looking for, past relationships, all the first date getting to know you stuff. We split a barbecue chicken pizza. And then we had, what did we have for dessert? I want to say it was red velvet cake. Uh-oh. Oh my God, he's going to see this and whoop my ass. Okay. I want to say we had cake for dessert. I think so. I'm going to say red velvet cake, but I'm actually pretty sure I'm wrong. But we had a dessert. So after our first date, we went back to my apartment, which isn't as nasty as you think. So nothing happened our first date. We went up to my bedroom, which sounds really bad, but we watched Wreck-It Ralph. We watched Wreck-It Ralph in my bedroom. We watched a Pixar movie, and then he went home. Before moving on, I am going to be sticking with the James Charles palette. I am going to be taking the shade You're Kidding, which is the bright red right here. And I want to throw this in my crease right underneath the pink shade. Okay, so like I was saying, so we watched Wreck-It Ralph, and then after that he went home, which was okay, but the weird part about everything that night was he didn't kiss me. We didn't kiss on our first date, which was definitely different for me. I was like, okay. It was definitely different for me. I've never not had a first kiss. So I was like, did he not like me? But I can remember when he left, Jordan and our friend came into my bedroom and they're like, oh, how was it? And swear to God, I will say this to anybody who will listen. The first thing I said to Jordan and my friend was, this is the guy I'm going to marry. Clear as day. I can remember that clear as day. And our friend at the time was like, see, what did I tell you? I told you you would end up with a white guy. Because in high school, I dated only African American and Hispanic boys. I had never dated a white guy, just personal preference, nothing wrong with it. But he was like, look, I told you. And I'm like, well, we're gonna see where it goes because he didn't kiss me, so I don't even know if he liked me. And Jordan was like, Caitlin, he liked you. And I was like, how do you know though? We don't even know each other. And she was like, because if he didn't like you, he wouldn't have texted you wanting to take you out on a date. So I went to bed on our first date thinking, I'm going to marry this man. That was my exact first thoughts. So after our first date, he did text me. He was like, I had a really good time. And I'm like, oh, I did too. And I remember he was the one that made the move and said, so should we change our Facebook status? Which I was like, oh, he does like me. So I was like, are you trying to make this official? He's like, yeah, I am. I'm like, so you're my boyfriend? He's like, yeah, I am. So I'm like, okay, we can change our relationship status. And it wasn't even like a couple minutes later, I got a relationship request. So I was like, he likes me, yay. So I went from being the girl in the box, because the Feel Center was like literally a cubicle. I went from being the girl in the box to being Joel's girlfriend. So I didn't even have a name yet. But that is what I was known as. The girl in the box. Oh, that brings back memories. So I remember after we made it Facebook official, when I went to work the very next time, there were so many stares. And I think mainly it was because he was actually went on a date with another coworker. I didn't really know her, but he had went on a date with her, and she was starting a lot of rumors saying that, oh, he was dating me and her at the same time, blah, 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 just like childish stuff. So I know that was a reason that I was getting a lot of stares, but I think another one was like, nobody knew who I was. They were like, who the heck is it that he's dating? Who is she? So taking a break from story time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the James Charles palette to the side. We're going to move on to our Makeup Revolution one. I'm going to open this up. And the shade I'm mostly going to be working with is going to be the shade Admire, which is like this nice blush pink color right here. And then I may top it off with a little bit of this shade right here. What is this? This is the shade Buff. These feel a lot like putty, so they may actually just work better with my finger. I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take some on my finger, and I'm going to put this right in the middle of my lid. Now I'm going to take my flat brush, and I'm actually going to take some setting spray. So this is by Makeup Revolution. Well, it's I Heart Revolution, and it is the Peaches and Cream Fixing Spray. Okay, so we laid the glitter down. Now we're going to go back into the James Charles palette, and I'm going to take You're Kidding again. And I am just going to put this on each side to kind of blend it out. Alright, eyes are done, so we can go ahead and clean this up, move on to the face, and continue story time. Let's start with some primer spray. So this one is by A+. This is from Shop Miss A. Funny thing about this, so this was only $1, where Shop Miss A is usually, most of it is only $1. And I found this at TJ Maxx. I bought this one from Shop Miss A for $1, and then I saw TJ Maxx trying to sell it for like $4, comparing it to $10. So, So while this dries, let's go ahead and continue on with a little bit of story time. So where did I leave off? Oh yeah, so people at work. So I went from being the girl in the Feel Center, girl in the box, to Joel's girlfriend. So when we were dating, we got serious, I think, pretty fast, but at the same time, it was an adjustment for me because he wouldn't kiss me. That was like the biggest thing in the beginning of our relationship, is he wouldn't kiss me. We went on dates and he still hadn't kissed me. In fact, our second date was going to see Monsters University in theaters, and I met his family on our second date. So I met his parents, his sister, and his grandparents, I believe. No, his grandparents weren't there. His parents and his sister on our second date. So we got serious very fast. But at the same time, I met them before we had even shared our first kiss yet. So I remember clear as day, one day I texted him. By the way, I'm using the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Dew Primer just to make my makeup stick. So I remember finally asking him and being like, do you even like me? And he was like, of course I like you. Why wouldn't I? I said, well, you won't kiss me. And I remember him making me, not intentionally, making me feel like the biggest slore on the planet, because he was like, well, we're still getting to know each other. And I'm like, oh, Caitlin, what a hoe bag. Alright, and then I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Primer to really conceal my pores. So that was the reason he wouldn't kiss me. It wasn't because he didn't like me. It wasn't because of anything. He was just being a gentleman, which once again, I was not used to. And I remember our first kiss. It was on the front steps of my apartment. And it was one of those, if you saw Princess Diaries where she wants her foot to pop, my foot popped. Fireworks went off, whatever you want to call it. I knew I was in love. So like I said, I met his family on our second date, and things just got really, really serious. I mean, we were spending every single night together after work. We were watching movies all the time, and that's always been our favorite thing, is watching movies. So it's like we were watching movies, we would go out to dinner, and it was just the time of my life. For foundation today, I'm going to be using the NYX Born to Glow foundation in the shades Vanilla and Natural. I tend to really like mixing these. I just feel like it gives me the perfect color for my skin. I'm trying to make sure I cover everything, just because it's like we've been together so long and I've never actually told our story before, that I'm like, okay, what am I forgetting? Because I feel like I'm already forgetting pieces that I want to tell you. So let's talk about our first Christmas together, because that was also very serious. So I remember our first Christmas together, he gave me a promise ring. And that was pretty big, because I mean, a promise ring is basically, you know, a promise that we are going to be together, we will someday get married. So it's like, I'm not kidding, where it's like we were serious very, very fast. So he got me a promise ring, and it was a beautiful, I'll insert a picture here. I'm going to be inserting pictures throughout this whole thing, but it was beautiful. It came from Jared. So I remember after I got it and I posted about it on Facebook, that was like the joke everybody at Kroger made, was every time they saw me or him, and especially one of my ex-friends, every time he saw me, his only thing to say to me was, he went to Jared. And it's like so many people said that. So right after he gave me that ring, that was the talk of the store. And you have to understand, I think we were basically like the new it couple at our store. Not to be narcissistic, I mean, there were couples at our store, but I think we were like the new it couple. Everybody talked about us, and when they saw one of us, they asked how the other one was. They wanted to know. So we were famous. God, I love this foundation. It just looks so seamless and nice on the skin. Oh. For concealer, I'm going to be using my Juvia's Place I Am Magic Concealer. This is in the shade number 19. It's just a really good concealer. So I will say that there were like adjustments to dating my husband, because his family is very family oriented. They have family dinners. You know, they like to do things as a family. Whereas, not to trash my family, but it's like, you know, I didn't grow up in the most happy household. You know, it's like we didn't do family dinners, we didn't do family game nights. So to go from that to a family that has dinner at the grandparents' house every Friday and wants to do stuff together, it was a huge adjustment. It was definitely an adjustment. It was something that I sometimes just couldn't get used to. And it was also like a problem to understand. Like, it was hard to explain why it was a problem. Okay, to set my face, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me Loose powder. This is in the shade number 10, Fair Light. To bronze, I'm going to be using this one by L'Oreal. This is the Bronze Please bronzer. This is in the shade Portofino. This is just always my favorite bronzer. I just always go back to it. It's so good, and I love using this giant, this is very intimidating, this giant Kinsey powder brush. Love this brush. It just gets all the blending done for you. So like I was saying, the whole family aspect has always just been a big adjustment for me, just because I never really had like a family aspect, a family dynamic. So that's just always been kind of an adjustment. but totally fine. You know, some of us just don't adjust well sometimes. So some of our favorite things to do, which we don't really get to do anymore and it kind of stinks, but just with work and everything, it just kind of makes it impossible. But some of our favorite things to do is like, we love the zoo. So like my mother-in-law gives us a zoo membership every year, and we used to use it up quite a lot. Just haven't really had the time as of lately, but God, we love the zoo. I'm actually going to do a little bit of baking, which I haven't done in quite a long time, but I'm going to do it mainly for my nose. Okay, so we're doing some baking, not a lot, just a little bit to clean up the cheeks and a little bit to snatch the nose. So what I'm gonna do now is, I know I said this is a story time, I want to move on to our engagement because that was a really special moment. But first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go off camera and do my brows, pop off some lashes, and I will be right back. Okay, lashes are on. Brows are not my favorite today, but we are just going to keep going. So really quickly, I'm going to coat my lashes using the Maybelline Lash Discovery Mini Brush Mascara. This has been my favorite for when I'm wearing falsies because I really feel like I can get to like the root of my eyelashes and really blend them in with my falsies. So I said that I wanted to go ahead and move on to my engagement. So we got engaged a couple days before our 2-year anniversary. And I know for a lot of people that seems really, really early. And looking back, I think we could have waited another year, but we were just so in love, and we still are. We were just so in love, and I think it's like when you know that you're gonna be with this person for the rest of your life, you know. So on that day, we decided we wanted to go to the zoo, and then we were going to go to dinner. So we went to the zoo, and it was kind of like a muggy day, I think. I think it was kind of rainy a little bit. But we went to the zoo, and then we were just going to go straight from there to dinner, so I had to change of clothes in the car. So we went to the zoo, and then we went to dinner, and where did we go for dinner? What is it called? I know where we went. I just can't remember the name, but it's like a seafood place. If I remember it, then I'll say it later, or I'll just put it here in text. But we went and ate dinner, and what he doesn't know, I don't know if I ever told him this, what he doesn't know is I saw the box, the ring box, I saw it. He kind of, I think he either had it in his pocket at the zoo or he was putting it like in the glove compartment. But either way, I saw it, I knew I was going to be engaged, it was just a matter of when and how is it going to happen. So we went to the zoo, it didn't happen at the zoo. So then we're going to dinner, and it's like, I think knowing that I'm going to be engaged is more anticipating, like it's more stressful than knowing if I'm gonna get engaged, you know what I'm saying? Because it's like, okay, he has the ring, but how is he gonna do it? So we went to dinner, and our waiter was really, really nice. And I know that after we got engaged, we went there for a couple years after, and we made sure to have the same waiter because, you know, he was a big part of it. So dinner comes, and it's like, okay, well, it's not happening. So we ate all our dinner, we're talking about, you know, our anniversary and everything, and I'm like, oh, we're talking about our anniversary, it's gonna happen. It didn't happen. So then he's like, oh, well, we have to order dessert. So then I'm like, oh, it's gonna come all romantic and on the dessert tray, will you marry me written in chocolate. So we ordered dessert, and then the dessert came, and the guy's carrying it high, so I'm like, yes, I was right. It wasn't on the dessert tray, and I'm like, what the hell? So we eat dessert, and I'm just kind of sitting there, and I'm like, did he change his mind? Like, I thought he changed his mind. And then out of nowhere, and I think I was in the middle of biting into our dessert, and I can't remember what we had, but he was like, so we've been together for 2 years, huh? And I'm like, yeah, 2 years. And just like that, he got down. Oh, and he kept going to the bathroom a lot, saying he had to go to the bathroom, but he was talking to our waiter, and he gave the waiter his phone. And he was like, oh, we've been together 2 years. And I'm like, yep. And he was like, got down on one knee, and he was like, how about forever? And opened the ring box right there. And I'm trying not to get emotional about it, but it's like, that was the crazy thing, is like, I knew it was gonna happen, but it was like the shock of it happening was amazing. And it's like, our waiter was really cool. He got everything on camera, he got awesome pictures. And we're here today, so of course I said yes. And we were like in this back room in front of everybody, so there was a huge crowd, they all cheered, they all applauded, whatever. So that was our engagement. And then after dinner we went back to my apartment, and at that time Me and my roommates had split ways. I was back with my parents. I walked in, there's balloons and a cake that says, "Congratulations, Caitlin and Joel," that my parents got me. And I'm like, well, what if I didn't say yes? And my mom's like, oh, please. So we were engaged. So once we got engaged, we actually moved pretty fast. We got married a year later, and I planned everything. I literally had this binder, and I have it somewhere here. From the minute I knew I was going to marry Joel, I started a binder. I bought wedding magazines. I had it categorized into, you know, ceremony, reception, floral. I had categories, but it's like I was ready. I was ready to get married. Whenever we were going to be planning our wedding, it was going to be simple. So it's like everything was planned. We got married a year later on June 2nd, 2016. Since I was so prepared, I knew what dress I wanted. I had been dress shopping for months, so I knew exactly what dress I wanted. I went in one shopping visit, I picked my dress. There was matching flower dresses. I knew who my bridesmaids were going to be, who my flower girls were going to be, and it was just easy. If I could go back, there are things I would change about my wedding, but I definitely wouldn't change getting married in general. I'm going to zoom you in real quick so we can do the lower lash line. So I'm first going to line my waterline with the LA Girl Shockwave Neon Lip Liner in the shade Pop. Going back into the James Charles palette, I'm going to be using the hot pink on my lower lash line, and then I'm going to be tight lining with the red. So you know how they say that if it rains on your wedding, it's good luck? Well, we must have a lifetime of good luck, because on our wedding, it flooded. There was a really big flood in Houston, and actually the path to our venue was totally closed. It was flooded. And then the day of our wedding, a couple days before, it had managed to clear out and open. But then the day of our wedding, there was a huge storm, and we were supposed to have an outdoor wedding. So my wedding coordinator was like, you're not going to get your outdoor wedding. You're going to have to do it inside. You're going to have to come down the stairs. And I was literally praying to anyone I could. And I prayed to God, I prayed to Jesus, but then I prayed to my grandma. My grandma was the light of my life. I was the light of hers. She was my role model, my hero. She passed away in 2010 from Lewy body's dementia. And whenever I need to talk to someone, I talk to her, even though, you know, she's no longer here. And I remember clearly that day, I was like, Grandma, you cannot do this to me. Can you please help? Can you do something? I need something. I need this outdoor wedding. You only get married once, at least some people do. You only get married once, please. And not even kidding, 20 minutes before our wedding, the sky was blue. The sun was out. Nobody could believe it. Nobody could explain it, because we were all watching the weather radar, and it was like this huge cloud of rain was supposed to be over us. And literally, I got married in Berkshire, by the way. Literally, there was this like Noah parted the Red Sea path of clearness right above our wedding venue. The wedding coordinator came in and she was like, okay, well, I don't know what's going on, but it's clear. What do you want to do? And I'm like, I want my outdoor wedding. And that's exactly what I got. My wedding was beautiful. My grandfather actually walked me down the aisle, which was very special to me. My sister was my maid of honor. It was beautiful. It was a perfect day. I'm like feeling very sentimental right now. I'm like, oh my God, I want to get married again. To the same person, but I want to get married again. I'm going to go in and do my cheeks. So I'm going to be using this Wet n Wild Pacman High Score Blush Palette. And I think what I'm going to do is really... I think I'm going to swirl all of them together. Or maybe just dip into... No, I'm going to dip into these two right here, which are more like corally pink colors. You know, we got married young. I think when we got married, I was 20. I had just turned 20. I was going to turn 20... No, I was 20. I was going to turn 21 in July. And then my husband was... How old was Joel? He had to have been 23 or so. Either 23 or 24. But, I mean, we got married young, but we knew what we wanted. We knew that we wanted to spend the rest of our lives together. And even though some people didn't approve, some people thought we should wait, we knew that we wanted to get married right then and there. And then flash forward 4 years later, here we are. So that is basically our story. That's how we met. That's how we got engaged. That's how we got married. It was all beautiful. And although he is my pain in the ass sometimes and he fuels my fire for sure, I wouldn't change a thing. I want it. There's not a doubt in my mind about my marriage, about my life. I love him. He's my little squishy. For highlight, I'm going to be using my favorite go-to palette, which is by Flower Beauty. This is my Shimmer and Strobe highlighting palette. And I think what I want to do is I want to mix the light white shade. This is almost like an icy pink, a really light blush pink. And then I'm going to mix like the pink color next to it because I want to stick with the pinks that we're going for. So I'm just going to mix in between the two and apply it. Oh yes. Ooh, I like it. And this brush is awesome. This is an e.l.f. 107. It's like a really big tapered brush. This is perfect for highlight because it just blends it all for you. So what are your plans for Valentine's? So I'll tell you right now, we're kind of doing like an anti-Valentine's kind of thing. Just because we've never really been like romance people. Like we do romantic gestures for each other, but we're not like, we need the romance. We need to go on romantic dates. So we don't want to do like anything busy. We don't want to do a romantic dinner. So our plan is to do some bowling and get some bowling alley burgers, which is literally all the romance I need because I don't want to do like a fancy dinner. It's going to be busy. Just, I don't want to do that. And it's like, I'm just happy that I have someone that feels the same way, that doesn't like force me to go out on a romantic date. And it's like, we don't really care about doing the romance. We care about being with each other. So it's like, we love bowling. We're very competitive too, which makes it even more fun. So for lip liner, I'm going to be using this one by Profusion. This is the matte lip liner in the shade Secret. And then I think I want to go for a nude. I think I'm feeling very nudish today. Let's see. Maybe a nude glossy kind of thing. I think maybe a nude gloss would be kind of cool. Okay, so the first shade I'm going to go in with to really make this nude is going to be this lipstick by Maybelline. This is in the shade Purely Nude. It is nude. Oh yeah. Alright, we're going to do that. And then to add a little color back in and some gloss, we're going to use this one by Maybelline. This is Baddest Beige. Should I do a little more color? I have these Superstay ink crowns by Maybelline. This one is in the shade Seek Adventure. So this is more of a pink. I'm just going to put a little bit of this in the middle. Okay, and then to set the face, I'm just going to go back in with that I Heart Revolution fixing spray in Peaches and Cream. Alright guys, and that concludes today's very chit-chatty Valentine's Get Ready With Me video. So I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Please remember that Valentine's does not have to be with a significant other. It can be with your friends, it can be with your family, it can be with your dog, your cat. Go get you a snack, go buy your favorite makeup product, and enjoy the holiday. So I'm going to go have some dinner with my husband. I love you all so much. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!